we're standing here at the Behemoth's booth at PAX East 2013. Big star of the show is BattleBlock Theater, a game that's been on the way for a very, very long time. Finally, it's got a date, it's got a release date. What's it like having people sample the game here at PAX?
It's been really great. We've set it up in such a way that they'll get an experience like no other, of course, because we've made big arcade machines for them. But when they download it on Xbox Live, they'll have just as much fun. So.
Yeah, those were kind of crazy. What was the idea there to sort of do the arcade machines?
Well, of course, we do kind of old school memory games that you remember you really loved, and then you play them again and they're not quite as good as your memory of them. So we go back and we build those games how we thought our memories remembered them as, and that's why you have games like Castle Crashers, Beat 'em Up, or Alien Hominid, a run and gun, and now BattleBlock Theater, a platformer, really kind of evoking those memories of kind of an earlier time in video game history, I guess.
The first time I saw BattleBlock Theater was a couple of years back at TGS. You were only showing multiplayer at that time, but it seems like multiplayer has always been like an early phase. Was that important when designing the game? You got multiplayer working first and getting the mechanics worked out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big component is how you interact with other people with the game. And so whether you're sitting on the couch together, playing together, or kind of competitively, or whether you're online, it's a huge part of the whole kind of effect of the game.
Because it's got that sort of component where you're playing together, but you're sort of also trying to get on top of the other player, right?
Yeah, we call it co-optional gameplay. So it's not really, it can be very cooperative if you want it to be. But if you're playing with somebody who's competitive like yourself, then there's going to be sometimes when you're going to help each other, and sometimes when you're just going to throw somebody against a wall of spikes just because it's fun.
Sounds like a game to get me in trouble with my girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, maybe not, because she'll probably enjoy throwing you against a wall of spikes just as much. And
she's such a nice person, though.
As soon as she learns how to do an uppercut, it's all over for you. But the nice thing is that we do, since Alien Hominid, we've learned that accessibility is a very big part of gaming, and being able to play with someone who might have a different proficiency level is very important. So the feeling that person is not intimidated when they play with someone who's much better than them has really worked itself out in our game, and we get quite a few people who are very happy to play our games, even though they're mismatched in terms of skill level.
So I really love the art style that you've had in all your games, and it's a little bit tweaked this time around. So can you sort of give us the setting and sort of the inspirations for the art and why it looks the way it does?
The inspiration for the art or the story?
Both.
Oh, both? Well, of course, I guess it would be less of an inspiration for the art and more the path that Dan Paladin is following as his art matures. And so the bulk of the art in the game, BattleBlock Theater, is drawn by Dan Paladin, and he has set totally the design style of the game. And we find it's very challenging to do something very simple that looks good and looks unique. So we kind of strip away everything to get to the fundamental art style that kind of is the Behemoth, and that becomes a kind of a core for our company, as well as it's very identifiable for anybody that enjoys our games.
I mean, it's very sort of deceptively simple, but it can convey a lot of emotion, a lot of feeling.
It is incredibly hard, and I challenge anybody to sit down and try to doodle for 10 minutes and come up with things that are both simple but original and and kind of fun, just fun to look at. So.
And the story, let's talk a little bit about the story, because it's not your typical story in video game. It's a little bit out there, right?
Well, I always try to say it's the typical story of being stranded on an island with a bunch of cats, but of course, as you say, that's not a typical occurrence.
So does a lot of team members have cats, or do they have dogs?
No, funnily enough, we all, or many people have dogs. A few people have cats. It's probably an even mix. It's just that a lot of people started buying dogs recently, so there's a lot of dogs in the studio. But it's just this playfulness of kind of, how cats are their own beings, right? So kind of the big cat guards here, as they kind of rule over this prison, being the prison guards that you have.
Bit of a fat cat as well.
Yeah, he's quite square. He's quite square. They're well fed on something on that island. So yeah, it's kind of that feeling of a very plausible but fantastic story at the same time.
And that, of course, is the whole thing with the theater, that the cats are actually watching you do this for their own amusement.
Right. So you're there to perform for them, and if they like it, they clap and they release more prisoners. So.
Sounds good. It's all for a good cause, right?
Yeah, exactly. The good cause of fun.
All right, so what took you so long?
Oh, so there's a couple of different reasons that the length of the game is a little bit, or the length of development of the game is a little bit longer than normal. I think the primary thing is that we gain a tremendous amount of knowledge when we come to trade shows like PAX and Comic-Con. And what that does is it allows us to show the game earlier than most developers would show a game. Since we self-publish, we're not beholden to any publisher who is putting pressure on us to put out a game before it's ready to go. So by coming to shows like this, we can help the game mature at its own pace. And since we really let the game develop in an organic way over a long period of time, we think it becomes, a much better game than if we were constrained by a publisher to make sure we meet any arbitrary date. So that's, it's the organicness, and then showing it to fans at a show like this. And then a little bit different, because we are an independent developer publisher. Everyone that's working in our booth is working on the game. It's not the marketing department that's here at PAX who doesn't know anything about the game. It's all of the developers, the level designers, everybody else that stops production and comes here. So luckily, this is the last time we'll have to stop production on BattleBlock Theater to come to a show. But like I said, the knowledge that we gain from being at a show of how people are interacting with the game and if they enjoy it or not is a great resource for us. So that's why it's taken so long. That, Rome wasn't built in a day, and many books and literature take a long time, longer than you think. So, but it's done now.
So it's April 3rd for Xbox Live Arcade. Are there other platforms coming at a later date, or what's the plan?
Well, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We've kind of done that in the past and see where we are. But we're always open to all the different platforms, and we're very platform agnostic. It really depends on the gameplay and the game itself. So, no comment, non-committal about different platforms right now.
But we won't see these arcades anywhere out there, right?
Well, you'd have to come to our shows. Yeah.
That's the only way to play them.
If we could build them, we would. Maybe soon we'll be able to build our own technology to make arcades again. So.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.